this first part, it says, now a set square. I don't have a set square. I don't need a set square. But it says, draw a line perpendicular to the x-axis through points P, Q, and R. Label the new line as the y-axis. Now, I didn't label it, so I didn't read that second part. I was more focused on perpendicular. Perpendicular is a word that you should have encountered in 4th grade. So, what does perpendicular mean? Let's see if anyone can get it right on the first try, because someone got it wrong over there on the first try. So, oh, Mackenzie, what is perpendicular? No. Okay, so it crosses
to make a right angle.
That's the other part. It has to make a right angle because these cross, oops, those cross, but are they perpendicular? No. So that very first one I did, it was perpendicular. So these are not perpendicular. Does it have to be like this every single time? No. Because this one that I accidentally did the first time, it actually sort of kind of was. Now, if I pulled out like a compass or something and measured it, then no, it wouldn't be. But eyeballing it, yeah, it was. So this one, it says through the point P. So if I go through point P, and that is not exact, it is not perfect, but you know what? We'll be okay. So perpendicular means it has to intersect and make a 90-degree angle. So, and then labeling it as the y-axis. So this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. So they do not have to go straight across all the time for you to be able to make it perpendicular lines. So if I had this on a piece of paper, rather than taking my head and going like this, I could always just take the paper and turn it. Of course, I can't turn the smartboard. I'd break it. But I might just go like this, take my pencil. I mean, it's not a perfect 90 degree, but it'll do. So you guys have the idea of perpendicular lines. So here you're just really creating what your coordinate grid would look like. And then, oh, that is ugly. Okay, wow. But I'll survive. All right, so this right here. Okay, so what shape is at 2, 5? What shape is at x coordinate 2, y coordinate 5? Cameron. The triangle, because you go over 2, up 5. So it is the triangle. Over 2, up 5. The x is over, the y is up. What shape is at 1, 2? What shape is it? 1, 2, Maya?
Circle.
The circle. Over 1, up 2. It is the circle. Very good. If you do 2, 1, there's nothing there. And some people do backwards, and there's nothing there. So they'll do like 2, 1, and that's not right. It's over 1, up 2. What is that? 5, 6. 5, 6. Lee. The square is to the right 5, up 6, and it is the square. What is that? 6, 5. 6, 5. What's it? 6, 5. Logan. The octagon. Okay, so B and D are the questions that people tend to get confused a little bit. So let's watch this one question. It wants to know which shape is 2 units from the Y. So that means that you need to be on the Y-axis. So this is the Y-axis right here. And then you need to go 2 units away from it. So what shape is 2 units from the Y? That is 1 unit away from the Y. If you're doing, what shape did y'all say? Oh, the circle, that's 2 units from the X. So here's the X, right? 1, 2 away from the X. I've got to go away from the Y, which means this way. From the Y. That way. 2 units from the Y. Away from the Y. Where's the Y? Away from the Y. Like the Y is going, you got cooties. Get away from me. Go 2 units away from me. That way. Get away from me 2 units. What is 2 units? What shape has cooties and has to go 2 units from the Y, Anthony? The triangle. 2 units from the Y. Triangle has the blue. So triangle is 2 units from the Y. That type of question is the one that people tend to get confused because they'll go the wrong way. They'll pick the wrong axis. It says from the Y, so you need to go to the Y and get away from it. That way. Which shape has an X coordinate of 0? So that means an X of 0 and something Y. X of 0. Now, if you did the mystery picture of a bunny, then you know what this looks like. So an X coordinate of 0 and a Y of something. If you're like, I have no earthly idea, don't guess. If you know, then this should be like, oh, duh, I know this. But if you have no idea, please don't guess. Okay. Kagan.
I forgot the name of it, but the one that's right there.
This one?
Yeah.
That is a rhombus.
Rhombus.
The crooked square. So the reason why you can tell that this, Jackson, has an X of 0. Does it go to the right along the X, along, not from, along the X at all? Does it go this way at all? No. The X tells you that you go to the right, right? Does it go to the right? No. So it does not go this way. So it's go to the right, none. You're only going which direction? Up. So this right here is my origin. This is your 0 line. So I'm not going to the right at all. I'm only going up. One spot. So this, the rhombus, is actually 0, X of 0, Y of 1. You don't go to the right at all. You just go up to the 1. So what would be my coordinate of the pentagon? It would be, so I'm going to the right, correct? I went to the right, 6 spots. Am I going up at all? No. So I went up how many spots? 0. 6, 0. Don't go up. I went up 0 spots. So it's to the right 6, up none. If it's directly on the axis, whichever direction it did not go is a 0. It did not go to the right, so X is a 0. It did not go up, Y is a 0. When you scrunch your forehead, that means I have no idea what you're saying. You have to communicate. You just can't scrunch your forehead and make me play 20 questions. Okay, figure it out.
Question.
Yes.
When I understand like the 0 part.
Okay.
How did you get 6 0?
Because where is it on the X?
It's on 6, but it's not going up.
But it's not going up. So it went up, none. 0. So wherever it is on the X, that's what its X coordinate is. 6. Whatever you're messing with, stop it. You're not gluing anything. Put it up. All right. Now, which shape is 4 units from the Y? So we've got the Y. We're on the Y. And it's telling someone, go that way, 4 units. What is 4 units from the Y? What is it, Hadley? The diamond. Because there's 4 units from the Y. And 3 units from the X. Here's X, and it went 3 units up. So it is the diamond. Very good. So if we want to figure out the X and Y coordinates of the smiley face, the first thing, the easiest thing, the smiley face. What are the coordinates of the smiley face?
1, 2,
It is not 1, 2. 1, 2 is right there. 2 and 1. Over 2. The X is this way and the Y is this way. Ground, X before Y. Ground to the sky. So it's 2, 1. So the smiley face is 2, 1. You should have that. The diamond. So the diamond, and then y'all go, oh, Ms. Strickland, what do we do when there's no number? You have to figure out what that hash is. Just because there's no number there doesn't mean it's nothing. It's something. You have to figure out what it is. I told y'all that yesterday. I hope you get it, because that's what the entire math lesson was yesterday. So in order to figure out what these spaces are that have no number, you have to look at, because they're all going to be the same. So I pick a spot. I'm going to look at between 0 and 1. Oh, yeah, this is what we did yesterday. Wow, looks familiar, Ms. Strickland. So I have how many spaces between 0 and 1? It's 4. So each hash is what? 4. This is what we did yesterday. Now, if you number every single square, your coordinate grid is going to get extremely cluttered. But you just need to be aware that your first one is 1/4. 1/4. 2/4, which is a half. That's why it's not a third. 3/4. And then 4/4, which is 1. this is what we did yesterday. You remember when I said this number line thing and then being able to figure out what the hashes are? Oh, that leads into, I got it. So, all of that leads into being able to figure out the hashes for your x and y coordinate. Your x-axis is going to be the same as your y-axis. You are not going to have your x-axis in fourths and your y-axis in thirds. They are going to be the same. If this is fourths, this is fourths. This is why I said you needed to keep these the same. If this is skipping a line, this is skipping a line. They have to be the same.
Can you have like less, like if you're counting by one on the y and the x, then you have like the x to like 20 and like the y to 30?
Yeah, as long as the spaces between the numbers are the same.
Okay.
It doesn't matter how long the line is, but if I'm counting by ones, if this is counting by ones, that has to be counting by ones. I can't go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It doesn't matter how long my line is. Because I could be charting something where this can go all the way to 50 and this only goes to 10. In 10 days, my plant grew 50 inches or something. Maybe I'm testing a new chemical. So my y-axis may need to be really, really long. But my x-axis doesn't. As long as my spacing is the same.
So would it be like, could you have the x-axis longer than the y-axis?
Yes. Are you going to put that up? That doesn't matter how long the line is. This can be longer than this one. This can be longer than this one. But the spacing between the numbers has to be the same. If this is skip counting by 2, this has to be skip counting by 2.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying about that?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you're asking me is that this goes 10, 20, 30. This goes 10, 20, 30. Yeah. That's why you have to keep the spacing the same. Because I could be charting something with really big numbers, and I don't want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I'm doing something that's over 30 days, this did something to 40. What I really want to do by ones, I'm going to have to go all the way down here to go all the way. My graph would be massive. I would need a really, really big piece of paper. It depends on your numbers by what your numbers are. Depends on your coordinates by what numbers you use on your x and y axis. Does that make sense? If I'm doing something that's like with halves or thirds or ones, depends on what I'm charting as to what numbers I use. Yes? No? Maybe? Okay. Okay. So if I'm doing the diamond, the x is easy. What's the x?
0.
It is not. What's the x for the diamond?
Oh.
Because it's here. The x, I have to go over 2. Is it on the diamond? Is it on the x-axis? I shouldn't still keep hearing 0. I don't know why I'm hearing 0. I heard 0 twice. Someone's not looking up. I don't know. And here, the y. The y coordinate for the diamond and only the diamond. Nothing else. Where is the diamond located for the y coordinate, Jackson?
3 and 3/4.
Yes. So I've got 3. And then I've got something with no numbers. So we had the 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. This is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. But I got my whole number 3. So it's 3 and 3/4. So the diamond is located at 3 and 3/4 on the Y. So if you have no numbers right there, then you have to figure out what that number is. So the sun, what is the X for the sun? 0, because
It's not because it's anywhere to the right.
it does not go to the right at all. So 0 moves to the right. None. It only goes up. How far does it go up?
3/4.
3 and 3/4. The heart. Where is the heart located? What is the X? 3 and 3/4. So we've got 3. There's 3 and 1/4, 3 and 2/4, 3 and a half, and 3 and 3/4. And what is the Y? 0, because it does not go up.
I have a question.
Might have an answer.
What does the X and Y say?
That you would have to Google that. I don't know why they name them X and Y. There's probably a reason. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is there
Okay.
a different letter for every, like, when you do like the cross thing, is there like Y all the way down, and like the point is different letters?
What, like this and this and this and this?
And then that one's like labeled X, and that one's
This entire line is X.
Oh, okay.
This entire line is Y. But all we look at, remember how I told you we had the quadrants? This is the first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. All we are looking at is this very first section.
Okay.
Because the other 3 deal with numbers that we don't do because they have negatives. That Y is never ending. That's why they have the arrow points. But once we hit the origin right here, the origin, 0, once it goes below that, you hit those negative numbers that we don't do. With the X, once it hits that 0 origin, it goes back here, negative. We don't do it. So here, we stop. But really, it does keep going. When you get in higher grades, you'll do all 4. But it's really, and I hate to say it's really not that hard. Once you learn how to do quadrant 1, you can really do all 4. Once you learn negative numbers, once you learn how to chart points, plot points, once you figure out where the numbers go, it's really not hard. I mean, really, really not hard, no. And I'm such a nerd, I love doing it. Okay. So, name the shape whose X coordinate, so X would be here, whose X coordinate is 1/2 unit more than the heart's X coordinate. So the heart's X coordinate is 3 and 3/4. So we need the shape whose X is 1/2 more. So 1/2 more. So I've heard the cloud, and the cloud is 4. Is 4 1/2 more than 3 3/4?
Wait, no, it's not.
No, it is not.
Wait. The star.
The star. It's the star. It's the star. Because 1/2 is 2/4. So 1/4 is the cloud. 2/4 is the star. They did it this morning too. They went, oh, 1 cloud. 1/2 is 2/4.
But it should say 2/4.
You need to know your equivalent first. Okay.
I just simplified.
Okay. Plot a triangle. I want you to do this. Put a triangle at 3/4. Put a square at 4 3/4 and 5. What am I holding up? You want me to hold up? Put an X at 1/2 and 3/4. So the triangle at 3/4. So you should go over to 3. Let me move this just a little bit. Over to 3. Over 3 up to 4. The square. Over to 4 3/4. Almost to 5. 4 3/4. All the way up to 5. Right there. Okay. And I don't know about y'all, but I had a lot of people this morning miss this one. They put that X in the wrong spot. 1/2. And is there anything in front of that 3/4 like a whole number? No. Over 1/2, up 3/4, right there. I saw all kinds of people putting it way up here. There's nothing in front of that 3/4. It's not 3 3/4. It's 1/2 and 3/4. Your y coordinate is 3/4. So your y is not even at the 1. It should not have passed the 1. You're not the only person who did it. So it's over to the 1/2, up to the 3/4. 1, 2, 3/4, right there.
What did I do?
Yeah, if it doesn't have a whole number in front of it, it's not even 1. If it's 3 3/4, which a lot of people did, then it's way up here like the sun or the diamond. You see the sun and the diamond that have 3 3/4? Do you see a 3 in front of that? No, then it should not be up there. Shouldn't be there. The pirate's treasure is buried at the X on the map. How could a coordinate plane make describing its location easier? So I didn't even hear what you said because all I heard was hack. So how could a coordinate plane make describing its location easier? Yes, sir.
Kind of. Well, you would draw it back into coordinate.
Something like this, right? No, so this is not like a coordinate plane. Okay, so something like this is not what we've been doing.
Yeah. Like I would prefer the punches.
Okay. We feel like it's there. Oh, darn it, now it's just going to be messed up. Okay, so this would actually be the origin. Okay, so then this here, very bad. All right. All right. Very poorly drawn, but okay. Excuse me, no one else was called on. Awesome. Okay. So one thing that I do want you guys to be aware of, anytime you're doing anything with a coordinate grid, whenever you have, and you're numbering it yourself, whenever you have the lines and you've got the squares, when you were numbering it yourself on the graph paper, whenever you have this, do you see where the numbers are? You got your 1/2 here, you got your 1 here. Anytime you're numbering it yourself, you are not numbering the blanks. Because here, if I've got my 1, I'm not exactly sure where I'm going. It's either above or below. And so if I'm looking at it, I don't know where to go. If you're trying to figure out where to put the square or the circle or the triangle, if you're counting the squares, do you know where to put the shape? Not really. You're going to be very inconsistent. So you know what inconsistent means? Like one time you might put it on top, one time you might put it down below, because you're not supposed to do the spaces. The only time I counted the spaces is when I had fractions and I was trying to figure out what my denominator was. When you are numbering your grid, Emma, when you are numbering your coordinate planes, because I do see this as a problem. This happens every year. When you are numbering, you are supposed to number the lines. Because when you are doing your x-axis and your y-axis, if you are going up and over, you are doing the intersection of the lines. Your point is not plotted in the space ever. At any point did you ever, should you have, put your shape in a blank? No, it doesn't go in there. It goes where your lines intersect. I don't know where it is here. I have no idea. I don't know if this is 0, 2. I don't know if this is 0, 3. I don't know if this is 1, 2. I don't know if this is 1, 3. I don't know where this is. And one thing about this, Jackson, I don't know. One thing about this is whenever we're doing coordinate plane, the one big problem that I run into when I'm grading tests with coordinate plane. Say I asked you to plot 3, 3, and you're eyeballing it. Eyeballing, you just kind of look at it and go, oh, there. And you accidentally 4, 3. Because you look at it and put it. Is 4-3 the same thing as 3-3?
No.
No. This is wrong. I will mark it wrong even if you are accidentally one spot over. If you do this, this is not right. So you have to make sure, I mean, if you saw me, I was like looking and I was even running my finger up the line, especially when you're having to go way up the grid. Run your finger. Use a ruler. Make sure that you are staying in the right spot. Use an index card. Use a set strip. Use something to make sure that you do not accidentally skip over to the next line. It happens all the time. I've done it. Because when you've got all those lines on there, sometimes your eye will skip over to the next line on accident. And when I have to do it, when I have to grade it, I go, oh, darn it, put it up. You don't need that right now. So when I'm having to check it, sometimes my eye will skip over, and I mean, I'll be sitting there running my hands on there, and sometimes I'll accidentally mark it wrong, and I go, oh, oops, and you'll see me write oops on there because my eye skipped over to the right or to the left or whatever, and I'll accidentally mark it wrong. So, because I'm grading over 40 of those things. But make sure that you run your fingers on there, make sure that you double check it before you turn it in. Whatever you've got to do to make sure that you put that point in the right spot. Because I would hate to have to mark it wrong just because you accidentally went to the wrong spot. Okay, and that's it for that.